Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson. And with me tonight is Sarah Tolson.
Yes, you get a
On
ticker.
the surface of the sun. Wow.
Our air conditioner is out, and I could be enjoying a nice cold glass of wine outside where there's a breeze and and you even have a soda. But no, we're in our non-air conditioned office. Well, no, my office is not air conditioned. Somebody has the portable AC in his office.
My office is in the bedroom.
Yes, and you're getting it cold because I can't sleep in a hot room. So, I totally appreciate that, but that does not mean you're not going to get crap for being in the only air-conditioned room in the house. But so we are here because we are dedicated to getting through this
suffering.
No, we are not dedicated to suffering. I drink way too much for that. But tonight I get to use this ticker too, because we're going to go down Flow Designer Lane and dive into some of the logic flows that put the game engine together. Correct?
Yep. We're going to start working on the game engine and start building out the flows that control the game engine's processes. And once again, I've got some changes kind of in my mind from the original, and we'll kind of see how some of it goes. I have a general direction and idea.
General direction?
Yeah, general direction. But it'll probably evolve as we go.
So we're going to play it by ear, and yeah. You don't want to do 1,500 if statements in a script somewhere to handle all this? No?
I don't. And I'm hoping some of the changes we've already made improve things, but we'll see how it goes. Now, there is one thing that we do have to take care of before we actually start on the flows, because there was one thing I forgot last time that's kind of important.
What's that?
Well, I'm going to go to Studio real quick just so I can open our app up, and for some reason there are changes. Why are there changes? There shouldn't be changes.
I secretly got in here when you weren't looking. Not really, because I won't do that until the UI, and then I'll be like, Sarah was here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the changes are. There's 0 out of 1, but there's nothing actually in here.
It's a bug.
Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to apply remote changes. The sys app was modified? Hmm, 6.4. So that would have been the day after. That would have been on Tuesday. Yeah, we're going to overwrite those changes. I don't know what those are, but they're going away. Oh, I didn't actually want the apply remote changes. Close. Okay. All right. So the thing that I need to do is actually on the game commands table, because I need a state field on here. So I'm going to go to Form Builder. And I'm going to add state. And that's going to be a choice. And the default value for this will be ready. Add. Done. And then we'll add state up here. Edit. We'll add ready. Processed. and error state. And we don't want a none option.
Technically, this is another low-code tool you're using. Look at you using all these low-code tools.
I'll also add a processing. And I'll change that to success. Error. Yeah, that works. So that's just going to give me a way of tracking what state the commands are in so I can process them effectively, ignoring the ones that have already been processed. And so now, there we go. Ready, processing, success, error.
So are we done with data model stuff yet?
Yes.
Okay, because like I know it's I do understand that it is a necessary thing for app development. Like even the most front end centric, design centric people in the world, part of that design is having an underlying scaffolding for what the data is going to do. Otherwise, you just have a pretty picture. So I understand it. At the same time, it's not sexy.
Well, now we get to begin working on our flows. Now,
are your flows auto magic?
I don't know about this. Let me just open up Flow Designer this way because I'm not 100% sure if creating a new flow will actually give me what I want there. And I don't want any junk artifacts. While I'm here, let's go ahead and commit changes. Added state to game command table. That way, if I screw up something on the flow, I can revert, burn it down without having a bunch of deleted records. All right, so now we've got Workflow Studio here open. And I'm not 100% sure exactly what direction this is going to take. Basically, I want to be able to process only one command at a time on a game. I don't want multiple. So, like, if I create a flow kind of as a business rule substitute, what can happen is if you create a bunch of different commands on the same game at roughly the same time, all of them will try to process at the same time. And that's bad. What we want is we want our commands to execute ordered, one at a time in a game, so that each command results in a new game state and it's not conflicting with anything else.
So it's an actual game with taking turns rather than like Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Yeah, pretty much. So we don't want, what we don't want to happen is we don't want one person's turn to be half processed while the next person's turn starts being processed by the system. You know, we want it all to be one at a time. So creating the flows as kind of business rule substitutes is not really going to work well. And this was actually a problem we had in the lab. I created a button to simulate the player 2 for the lab purposes. And at a couple points, you know, it had to place multiple ships. And what was happening was the commands were getting out of order for the second player when the person clicked the one button that issued multiple commands. The commands were getting executed out of order and the game was ending up in a weird state, and people were having issues during the lab and handling this. We were able to find a workaround in the middle of the lab, but it was something we ran into, and so I don't want to make the same mistake again. So I'm actually going to start out with a subflow.
That's not your ideal state, you know, having to figure out workarounds there in the middle of your lab.
Yeah. But subflows subflow. Well, that's weird. Create new subflow. There we go. Subflows are a nice way to kind of encapsulate logic, though, without actually tying it to specific triggers. So you can call subflows within parent flows. So I don't have to actually figure out what the trigger is up front. I can just deal with the logic of what I want to happen without having to tie it to a specific trigger yet. We'll do Mothership join game. Executes the join game command, or processes, I guess would be the correct word. Processes the join game command for Mothership. And accessible from all scopes. It's in the Mothership Do app. Category. There aren't any right now, so I don't need to worry about that. Appear under the subflow in the subflow picker. So this is when you're picking a subflow, this is text that will be shown to help you pick the right one. I'm just going to give it the description over again. All right, so now we have our subflow created. Well, initialized. So I'm going to click New Inputs and Outputs. And so the input is going to have a game command. And we're going to make this a type of reference. And we'll select the game command table. And we'll make that required. Oh, no. All right. So basically your inputs and outputs are, you can think of a subflow as a function. The inputs would be your function arguments, and your outputs would be your return values, the values on your return object.
So if input, return output. So where does all the logic go then? Like if input, do these things and then return the output.
Actually, we'll do this. We'll call it is success, and we'll make this a true false. Sorry, say that again.
I said, so in the way you put that in the if statement is really clarifying for those of us in JavaScript land. So you have like if input, blah, 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 do all these things, return output. So where does the logic in between go?
That's going to be down here in the actions.
In the actions.
So is success will be a true false value to indicate whether this process was successful or not. Actually, I don't think I need that now that I think about it. Yeah, let's not put any outputs just yet. Let's leave it at just inputs for now. All right, so when I pass a game command into the join game command, the first thing I need to do is update that game command. So we're going to update the record. The record I want to update is this game command from the input. So I'm going to drag and drop that to my record. And you can see it automatically populates the table. And now I can set the values that I want to update on the record. And basically what I want to do is I want to set my state to processing. So just like that, the first step in the process is that it's going to update that game command record to mark it as processing, as being currently in work. Let's see. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to look up any existing game record. Oops, not look up. Well, do I want look up records or look up record? We'll do look up records. And I want to look up any existing game records. And where the state is awaiting join. Now, already there's one issue I'm going to have to solve.
What's that? Since we're not solving my air conditioning problem tonight.
So basically, what I want to be able to do is I want to see if there's a game that's currently has a player already created a game that they're waiting for somebody else to join. You know, is there an available game? You know, basic matchmaking. Obviously, I don't want to join a game if I'm the one that has created it.
Nor do you want to join a game that already has 2 people.
Right. So I don't have any fields for that. Current turn for winner. Let's see. All right, let's save this real quick. And let's go to our game record. So even though we're going, I don't know, can I query related lists from this? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, see, I could do it via conditions, but that's not really what I want. I'd like to avoid conditions. So you coming over here?
I need your phone. We have a parental incident to take care of.
All right, so let's see. What we're going to do is create... Did I open Form Builder? I already got Form Builder. Oops. We'll add players. And that'll be a list. To the sys user. Where is it? Sys user role. Sys user set. Preference. Presence has role. Session. Audit log. token. All right, I think that's the one we want. All right, so we'll add players. And we'll save that. And I may need to reload this. Let's see. Yeah, we'll have to reload the... Mothership. All right, so now that field should be available in our conditions. Edit subflow. And players does not contain thank you. Players does not contain, let's see. Yeah, it's not going to let me do that. Well, that's frustrating.
What I miss?
Well, I was trying to set up so I set up the players list, so it's like a list of users associated. And basically does not contain does not allow me to use the is dynamic. So basically what I want is a game where I'm not in the list. But that, it does not appear that that's going to work.
Can you do it in multiple steps? Like have one step that's awaiting join, and then that's not the most.
I need the play. Okay, let me show you this way. So when I have a game record, I'm going to have a list of players associated with that game.
Yeah.
I need to find a game record where the state is awaiting join and that players list does not contain
Oh, you can't
me.
square it up.
Does not contain me. Oh, wait a sec.
Do you see what I'm saying, though?
Wait a second. It's not me that it needs to be. It's the player that issued the game command. So we're actually in the clear.
Well, all right then. What I was saying was, couldn't you like narrow the list down to state is awaiting join, and then do a second lookup that narrows it down to not containing the player?
I mean, I would still run into the same problem, because the problem is that I was trying to filter on a field that did not offer the filtering criteria I was looking for.
I didn't know if it was just not doing that because of the way you had it set up.
No, it's just that is me is a dynamic filter criteria. Does not contain does not allow you to use dynamic filter criteria.
Oh.
But it was not an issue because I don't actually need the dynamic filter criteria is me, because in reality, the is me is actually the game commands player field. So basically when when I issue a game command, my sys user record will be added to that game command in the player field.
Yeah.
So the player is whoever issued the command, and what we want is for whoever joined the game, whoever issued the join game command, we don't want them to find games they're already a part of. So I didn't need is me, I just needed to associate it with the game command's player field, which is what I've done here.
All right then.
So this is going to find all the records, all the game records where the state is awaiting join, and the players list does not contain the current player. I set max results to 1, and I am going to order by created date in ascending order. So that'll be the oldest first. Yeah, so we want to fill up the oldest games first. Hello, Gabby. All right. So now you can see that lookup records gives us an action status over here and a count, game table, and the list of records. So these are like the outputs for each of those steps. Does that make sense?
Yes, but without my mic being muted.
All right. So now that I've looked up a game that matches the criteria, there's either going to be one or none. So what I want to do is I want to say if matching game found, if the count is greater than
0. Yeah.
So if our count is more, let's just say if our count is 1, because it should, and I'll stick with this. So if our count is greater than 0, then we have a match.
Meaning there is some game that we need a person to join.
Right. So what we want to do at that point is update a record. And we want to update. Oh, see, that's all right. We're going to have to back that out. So, you see how we've got game records here? AJ is listening and learning Flow Designer himself. Will do.
You gotta. Well, I'm kind of a beginner at Flow Designer too, because they don't let me touch the backside of the platform.
So you see how this says game records plural? Basically, when this looks up, it's going to find multiple. And even though I've told it to find only one, it's still going to return basically a list or an
like
array.
A glide record query, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a glide record query. And so you're going to get more than one record out of this, which means we'll have to use for each. And I don't want to. So let's see. Yeah, that didn't work. Look up record. So this is one of the most annoying parts of Flow Designer is that you see how there's a lookup record here?
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
So there's one that looks up multiple records. So the result of looking up multiple will be a list that you have to iterate. Lookup record will give you one record, and then you don't have to use the Flow Designer for each to iterate it or to loop through it.
You're just picking. It's there's a line in Glide Record that does this when you like get the record.
Yeah, basically. It's lookup record is essentially kind of like automatically does if gr.next for you.
Yeah.
Whereas lookup records, plural, requires you to do the while gr.next.
They fixed that in UI Builder as of Washington. That's good.
Yay. All right, so let's go back to figuring out. All right, so I want a game where the state is awaiting join and players does not contain
The player,
this guy. So
whoever the player.
because of the fancy data pills, I can just drag it over here.
That's
so,
fancy.
Yeah, so like that automatically. So this is basically your dot walking the game command record. And these are the different fields on the game command. And you see how I can expand? These are reference fields, and I can basically dot walk all the way down.
That's really cool.
So
it really is just the same as the glide record queries and all that you would do in like a service portal script or a script include or what have you. It's just given a UI.
Yep. And it means fewer typos.
Yep. Understanding where those matchups are really important.
Sorry, Gabby.
So let's see if I can explain dot walking as a beginner, because I kind of got thrown into the deep end of the pool on this stuff. But basically you have like the record with its pieces of information on it that he is trying to look up and find. And say one of those fields, pieces of information references, called a reference field, a different record on a table, like the user record, for instance. The information on the actual user is not stored on this table. It's stored on another table called the sys user table. So it's a reference table. So in order for him and his flow to point to, say, like the first name of the user, he has to jump from his table and his field and over to the sys user table where that information actually is. And when you walk along the reference fields like that, it's called dot walking. And it's called dot walking. And I'm guessing here, correct me if I'm wrong, because when you do it, you put like the field name and then a dot and then a field name and then a dot and then a field name and then a dot. And you can essentially go as far along the trail as these different as you need to. And these reference fields are what connect different types of information on different tables together.
Yeah. So as you were explaining it, I went to the incident table and was kind of imitating what you were talking about. So you can see the caller references the user table. And so then I can preview that record and basically incident dot caller. And then if I open that up, looks like there weren't any. Let's go default view because there's bound to be one somewhere. Department. So incident dot caller dot department, and so you can walk across the references.
Yep.
So the goal of this particular flow is to process the join game command. So basically, when a player joins a game, this flow is going to try to do the matchmaking. It's going to try and find a game that needs a player.
It's the Fortnite lobby.
Huh?
It's
yes.
the Fortnite lobby.
Yes,
or
Fortnite
Call
lobby.
Of Duty, or
So this is the matchmaking without the skill based. So it's going to match a player up to a game and basically either have that player join an existing game or it will create a new game of Battleship or Mothership, as it were.
So you can go pub stomping, as it were.
Now I did mark don't fail on error for this one. Basically, when you try to look up a record,
Yes, please explain to me what that does, because just the concept of being able to tell your code you're not allowed to fail on error is kind of funny to me.
So basically, what will happen is this will look up a record, and if it finds one, success. If it doesn't find any record, by default, it'll throw an error and dump you down here into the error handler. By marking "don't fail on error," what I'm telling it is don't do that.
Failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option for
Where
you.
is this button in my other code?
All right.
What is it? So wait. Normally it would throw you down to error handling, but otherwise, so it just doesn't do that, and does it
it'll
just
continue the flow normally.
Okay.
It'll continue the flow normally. So basically, the error handler could be triggered by anything. So I don't want to handle record not finding a record is part of my business logic. Like if there's not an existing game record, then I want to create a new one. Like that's not an error, that's an expected behavior. So I don't want it to fail. I don't want it to dump into an error handler when the error handler is what's going to process unexpected things. This is expected.
Okay, because it's either gonna have a record or it's not, and you're covering both cases. So this will not cause it. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right. So
this is like your else statement. So this is how you have like the if this else that, and then you don't really need an error handler for that.
So now I do have one minor issue right now, and that is that I don't exactly know what I need to check whether or not an actual game record comes out of this is the next thing I need to do. Is there a matching game? And status could be an indicator. I don't know. Let's see. Let's throw our if in here. Let's see what options status has. That actually will work, I think. So if status is
data model setting up properly.
And this is one of the things that I love about Flow Designer is that like I just drag that pill in there and it tells me what's on it. Like I don't have to guess. What I was getting ready to do was I was getting ready to test the flow to have it dump out some data so I could analyze it and figure out, what I could expect, but I didn't have to because Flow Designer tells it to me.
So if you would have to go and look at the record and see what the options. So that saved you a few load screens.
Yep. Or looking up documentation.
Yep.
Any way you slice it, this was much better. So actually, there is one thing I do need to consider on this because it is possible that status, if I remember correctly, I think that status, because I marked don't fail on error, I think it marks it as success no matter what. Let's see. Code. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this. So we're gonna check anyway because I think, let's see. ServiceNow, Flow Designer, look up record. I don't know if there's documentation on this or not. Let's find out. Status. Choice. 0 if a record was found, 1 if there was an error. Error message. The output's value is only populated if the status is 1. That did not actually help answer. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run a test. There's currently no games, so there's not going to be a match.
See what happens.
I do need to create a record. I thought there was a way I could do it from here, but that's okay. We'll go to the game command table and create one. New So it's going to have no game because it's not associated with a game because we don't have one yet. Recorded at will be automatically populated. Join, ready state, and we don't need any of that populated. So
now
there
you
we
do
go.
have a game.
We'll have to fix that too. All right, run test. Okay, so we've got results. And this will tell us everything that happened. Error. No record found.
Which is, was that what you expected or not?
Maybe. Ew. I thought it usually... So previously I've done this via flow rather than subflow, and this one is a subflow, so... Level, error, no record found. I kind of want to see the data associated with it, though. That's kind of kludgy. All right, I'm going to assume that that means that the status is error then. It's not very clear about that, though. So usually when you have a flow, it will show you like the process, the step-by-step process that it went through and the outputs. Like this is not the view.
No, it usually shows you like, okay, I did this, and it shows you exactly the step that it choked on.
Yeah. This is unfortunate.
So why wouldn't it have that? Where's the operations view? This is where I just start kind of fooling around with stuff.
It just reopens it right back to this.
That's lame. Gabby says you got to enable that view.
Okay. In settings.
Best kept secrets of the developer core. We Google stuff.
Flow reporting settings.
Oh, there it is.
Let's
I bet you that's it.
Let's try this. Try running it on that guy again. And junk.
Show
Advanced Connect, show flows as diagrams. Auto refresh test, show inline script toggle.
Because anytime I've done this, it's just worked.
Yeah.
Like somebody else.
This is the first time I've tried it via subflow, though. So that's like executions, maybe? Gosh, that's just...
Let's see. I will Google that.
I am not happy about that. ServiceNow, subflow, logging. Try.
Subflow execution details have da 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 da. Is it because you're not running it for a specific player?
I don't know.
I'll send you the link to what I'm looking at.
I got a 404 on that.
What? That's weird. I'll send it to you again. Oh, you know what? I think it's cutting it off.
Flow designer property. Let's try this property. Sys properties.list. Reporting level is off. I don't. Com flow reporting level. Okay. Let's see what that gets us. Pick up where I left off. Edit subflow. Test. Run test. Still.
That's what we just tried.
Like. Reporting, trace, runtime.
No record. Okay. Da, 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 da.
It's showing things, but it's not showing enough.
Yeah.
Attachments. No, there's nothing on related lists. Like, where's the payload data?
I'm Googling it.
Like, when I have a flow, it shows me. Oh, am I on Washington?
Yeah, you. I think you are upgrading
yes,
to Washington.
I am on Washington.
Did you just find Mark's article?
No. Gabby asked if I was on Washington.
Yeah, Mark. I can never pronounce his last name. I apologize. Mark Rothoff has an article talking about it. Workflow Studio update required. Not able flow executions within. So it's a bug, and you have to get a new version of Workflow Studio. So in order to see that, we're going to have to update your Workflow Studio. I'll see if I can send this article to you, or if the private chat will cut it off. Oh, whoops.
And Gabby says that this needs to be on, not full.
Oh, well, maybe that's the problem. If not, we're going to upgrade Washington and turn it off and turn it back on again and see if that works.
That is going to be infuriating.
Yep, because that means we'll stop here and then have to come back next time. And
all right, let's see. All right, let's try reload.
Turn it back off. Turn it back on again.
And then test.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
Run test.
No Ken has.
No data. No impact, no idea.
Did you see the link I sent you?
Let's see. Upgrading to Washington, D.C. Manually update Workflow Studio.
If this turns out to be the thing, this is a good thing for us to run into and point out.
All right, let's see. Updates. There is an update available for Workflow Studio. This is probably going to be a bad idea, but let's do it. This is how it is sometimes. That is how it goes. Welcome, Jace. Install app from repository. Let's see. Do I get to keep using it in the meantime?
No, you don't. Womp womp.
How broken will you be if I continue to make bad decisions?
Okay, where are you at? Because did you get it from the store, the upgrade?
I am installing the update from store right now, and it's encountered error, unable to download app package.
So it looks like we may have hit a wall until we can get that figured out. So Jace asked how far we got tonight. And since we're struggling with this, why don't you do kind of a recap for where we're at?
Nowhere. We've gotten nowhere.
No, we have gotten a few things done. We started setting up the subflow, and the reason we're setting up the subflow is so we didn't have to quite do the trigger action first. We can get like the bulk of the logic in place. And then we talked about what the subflow is, how it relates to an if-then statement, and we're setting up our initial inputs and all that to decide to look for when a game needs a match, like to go find a person to match it to or what have you. But when we go to test that, it's not showing us the execution details that we're used to seeing in a flow test, which is really nice. And I think whether it's this time or next time, when we get to show that, you'll see it. It's really great how that shows you the exact step that where it's your logic's failing and all that, so you can focus your efforts. How are we doing? And did I summarize that well?
Yes. I have no idea. It's...
Do you think the streaming might be... I think our computer's overheating because it's 85 degrees up here.
This is PDI issue. So that would be unrelated to any of the temperature in the office.
Well, not that your office is the overheated part of the house.
Encountered error while pre-processing operation. Attempting retry. Failed. Unable to download. Let's just try again.
Jace is wondering if we need to migrate from a PDI. Well, yeah, we'll have to get this figured out. But I do think that we made some really important progress today, and I don't want to lose sight of that. We broke down some of how the logic works in Flow Designer, relating it to like the JavaScript logic that many of us are used to. And we described dot walking for some of the beginners in the crowd, how that works, and started putting in some of the flow action trigger thing actions, right? We were doing actions. No, we were doing triggers tonight. But to show like the dot walking and setting all that up.
No. Let's just try something silly. Game command. I'm just experimenting with something real quick.
MGOPW said that AJ had the same issue this morning, so this is not an isolated thing. And if Mark's article is any indication that it's something we're not alone in dealing with, so I'm glad if nothing else we're getting to be like, hey, y'all need to know this is a thing and you're not crazy.
Game state is awaiting join. We'll just leave it at that for now. Don't fail on error. Okay. Let's see if this gives me a different result. Nope, that gives me a trash look too. Yeah, that's okay. So it's doing it for flows. It's doing it for subflows. It's doing it for all of it.
Okay. But it seems like we know what the issue is now and we can work offline to fix it. Unless you want to work here and fix it.
Well, Workflow Studio is now picking up. It's doing a thing. Flows.
So I guess now we really can say we got a low code situation.
We do have a low code situation.
You know, maybe at this point it would be faster to do it in a script.
I'm
show it both ways.
I don't know. I don't know. Even with this issue, I still suspect it will go faster.
Yeah.
Join game. Flow, delete. I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup stuff here. Settings. Unfortunately, I cannot show how the Mothership app works because I don't have it anymore. I canned it because I make bad decisions. Yeah, I don't have a working. I mean, I think I still technically have a I have the Git repo still, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
the ICE package is still out there somewhere.
Maybe we can call somebody at ServiceNow and be like, hey, can I have access to that really complex application? So what are you basing your rebuild on? Just memory?
Yes. Isn't that how everybody does it?
Oh my God, Trav.
Hold on a second. I'm trashing some.
This is like when our coworkers that you were working on that high stakes project found out that you used one little laptop screen in Windows mode and you worked like you work, and they're like, what? The Travis Tolson uses one little dinky laptop screen?
Look, I mean, anybody who watches me actually do work quickly realizes that the vast majority of the work I do with my hands and feet tied behind my back. Like, I don't do things the smart way. I do everything in the most challenging way possible. Oh, it's at 98%, 100%, 99%. It might actually complete here shortly. And then we can see if that fixes some things. Work faster.
I like my little captions and stuff.
So, like, basically, the gist of the app, and this is the I'm looping through the presentation from the lab itself. So basically, you've got a board that looks kind of like this, and you'll The player will essentially click on the different ships, place them on their board. Each time you place a ship, it will add a command to the game. So basically, every action the user takes, it's going to create a record on the game command table. So that's joining a game, leaving a game, placing a ship, or taking a turn. Any of those actions are going to result in a record getting created on the game command table. Then the Flow Designer game engine will pick it up. It'll pick up the game command record, process determine if the command is valid. If the command is valid, it'll execute the command, and the end result will be some updates to the game record, some updates to the player records, some updates to game cell records, and it'll all end with a record being created on the game event table to signal that the command is done. It has been processed successfully. And so because you have two players that are issuing commands, the game event is basically the signal to the other player and essentially to the web browser that, hey, something has happened. And UI Builder or Service Portal will use record watchers to essentially watch that game event table for changes. And anytime a change happens for a game that player is playing, anytime there's a new game event on one of their games is created, that game event record will get pushed to the web browser. So that's kind of how the game works overall. And yes, Gabby, because this lab did not exist without a bunch of people helping, I had a credit roll at the end of the lab for everybody that helped.
I need this side conversation here if you want to pull up and see what our progress is. Last time we were talking about UI and form design because you were using the form design low-code tool that's really awesome. Mm-hmm. So I recommended to our audience the book Forms That Work. And Jace, one of the people in our audience, said that they ordered it. And so I just wanted to show, this is the actual book. And this is the plethora of Post-it notes and everything in this book because it's amazing. Great resource if you want to improve the way you have conversations via service catalog items with your user or platform. I mean, if you hate yourself, but Service Portal, maybe UI Builder.
Okay, showing game.
So how are we doing?
I don't know. I think it installed. It says it installed, and we're gonna find out if it works.
Okay. You need to let me give you.
This is what we needed. This is the execution details we were hoping for. So
we can't see it. We're still looking at your.
Oh, sorry. So Mark, thank you. This worked. Very helpful.
I need to give him some credit on Slack.
Give him all the pluses. So this is the execution details. All right. So what I did was I reopened the subflow. I clicked test. I selected the game command record that we created. I clicked run test. And then I clicked on the view execution details. And this is what pops up. So now we can look at each of the actions that were executed, and we can see the inputs and output values.
Yep.
The one I was looking for was the lookup record because nothing's going to be found. And here it is. See how status says 1? Mm-hmm. 1 is success. The status was not going to be an error. And this is one of the things that I discovered when I was building this the first time around that took me a long time to troubleshoot out, was that when you mark don't fail on error, this resulting status will be successful no matter what. But what we can
That's an
key
important
off of instead is that action status code, maybe? Let's see, maybe record. Well, oops, we're looking at this one. Let's see, action status is 0, success. We can key off of error message. It looks like. I don't know, record might work too. All right, we'll try keying off of record and see if that works. So edit subflow. We're going to add some flow logic here. We'll add an if statement. If game record is not empty, because on the lookup, record looks empty, yes?
Yes.
So if matching game is found, flow logic. Now it won't let me do an else until I put something in here. All right, so if a matching game is found, the first thing we'll do is we'll update that record. So the record that I want to update is the game record that we found. So you can see the lookup record action over here matches up with this one here. You can see the number 2 and the number 2. So this game record is the one we get as a result. That's the record I want to update. And I want to set players. This will be interesting. We're going to toggle scripting for this one. Return FD data. So I don't know. I should be able to do current, right? No. I don't know. Do I get to do current here? No. FD data dot lookup records. Wait. Yeah. Dot lookup record dot.
Does that dot walking?
Record. So we want the record that's associated with that. We want the current players list.
Can we get the record with the trigger, the inputs?
So the trigger inputs, the inputs will give me the game command. What I want to do here, my goal is, let me kill the scripting. So we've looked up an existing game record. We found an existing game record. So I want to add this player, the game commands player, to the list of players. But I want to keep the one that was already there. Well, and that's not accepting it anyway.
We're on a learning journey here tonight at Code Creative Live.
I'm going to figure this one out later because this isn't actually the part that I'm trying to accomplish right now.
And just as a refresher, what are we trying to accomplish right now?
Done. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get to the else logic. Yeah, let me delete that one. We'll come back to that. So I want to handle the else logic first, just because I want to make sure that this is actually going to work. I want to make sure that our game record is not empty actually works. So if no matching game is found, let's see, what can we do just to... Is there just like a log or something? Something I can do just to... Yeah, that works. Test. Run test.
Fix the name of that. Evaluated.
Okay, so if matching game is found... Okay, so no matching game was found, and so it went down the else tree.
And gave you your log message.
Yep, so that's what we expected.
So when you're using this, like I see the log here in the test, but like say if you were using this on platform or whatever, could you like do like a console log or something like that, or does it just go to the system logs?
What do you mean?
Because you can log something and it goes to that internal list of logged events and stuff like that, versus having something pop up in the console. Can you like select where it ends up, or is it all just like...
I mean, in the scripts, I think that you can do the usual GS. Well, you wouldn't do console.log because console.log is...
that's right.
That's client-side stuff.
Yep.
That's in the browser. So server side, you're going to be doing gs.info, gs.log,
yeah,
which is basically what that action
okay
was.
So that's what that represents as your gs.log.
Right. All right. So if a matching game is found, we want to update it. Otherwise, we want to create it. So let's go the create route first. And so this is one of the annoying things, is that it always selects most recent by default. And so when you're searching, create record is there, but when I search, it doesn't show. It's one of the most annoying things, is you have to like click into the right spoke if you haven't used it before. So create record. Client side best. All right, so we're going to create a game record. And players. And this is the annoying part, is that I can't just add the player to there. But that's okay, because we're just going to do it this way. Return FD data, which is just how you access data on the flow.
Is it always FD data?
Yep, it's always going to be FD data to start.
So this is like your data object on... Okay.
And I'm kind of curious about something real quick. Can I... Nope. Oh well, it was worth a shot. FD data dot subflow inputs dot game commands. So you can see FD data, subflow inputs is here. Game command is this guy. Dot, and what I wanted was player. Dot. We'll do sysid. So what that should do is it should grab this player's sysid and assign it to the players list. And you can see it marks it as scripted, so I know I can expand. The best way to see object is Gabby's tattoo.
Well, yeah. See, maybe
All right,
best way that console log is the best way to see if you get object, which an MGOPW in our stream, who is Gabby, she has a little tattoo right here. This is object, which I love so much.
All right, so we're going to create a new game record, put it in the awaiting join state, and we will assign the player who issued the command. We're going to add them to the players list for that. Then I'm going to create another record on the player table. The game is going to be the game we just created. And the user is going to be our player that issued the command. So we're adding this player to the game by creating a record for that player. They're not ready, so is ready will be false. And that should be it. Okay, so now we've created the game. We've created the player. I need to update the command record, because in order to keep all of my, when we create the join game, we don't actually have a game selected yet. So once we determine what the game is going to be, I want to update the command record with that game. And then I also want to set the state to success. And that's actually going to come later. Let me think about this. Update the game record.
And there is a question when you are ready for it.
What is the question? Let's see.
The create record, does it use the default values or is it initialized?
It does use the default values. So it'll... actually, I don't know. I don't think I've tested that one out yet. It does use the default values. So yeah, it from what I recall, it did use the default values the last time I did this. Let's see. All right, so we need to create a game event. So when creating our event, we need to populate the game. We need to populate the command it came from, which is this game command here. We need to populate the player it's related to, which is just the player off the game command, which in theory I could dot walk, but for security purposes, it's helpful to have it directly on. It simplifies some of the security logic to duplicate some of the data. The event is going to be, in this case, a game created event. And I think that's all we need. We got the game command, got the player that did it. Recorded at should populate automatically. We don't need any other fields on that. Done. All right, so we're going to, let's add some annotation. Well, no, actually, it's pretty clear. I don't really need any annotations.
Yeah, that's really. But tell us let's close by, because it's going on 10 o'clock. Let's close by you talking about annotations and how to do it and why they're useful.
Hold on just a second. Let me think through this real quick just to make sure I've got this particular part of the logic where I want it.
Are you one of those people that turns down the radio when you're lost? I can't listen to music. I'm trying to think.
Create game record, create player. We want to update the game command record and then generate our game event record. And then end the flow. Yeah, that for save. All right, so real quick, let me test this, because what should happen when I test this out is ideally we'll get some records. Create, update, create. Everything appears to have run successfully. So when I go to Mothership, I should have a game record created. The system administrator has been added as a player. The player record is created for system administrator. The game command, the state is successful. It's associated with the game correctly, and we have a game event associated with it as well.
Beautiful. So even with that hiccup with the testing thing, we actually managed to get one of the pieces of logic completed tonight.
We did. Like I said, Flow Designer is really, really fast to snap things together. Like, I would have been messing around with scripting typos like all night if I had done this otherwise.
And this is with neither. Well, I mean, you're much more accustomed to Flow Designer at this point. But still, this is not what you do all day long, and you had to look some things up and figure it out, and you were still able to put that together. So it really does show the power of it, especially when you have it updated and you can see the execution details and determine exactly where in the process you need to focus your efforts. But why don't you say one quick word about the annotations that you mentioned, so that we know what those are and why you would do them.
One quick word.
I can come over there and smack you from your air-conditioned office while I suffer up here.
So annotations can be useful when you need to be able to view additional information, like if you need to kind of describe the purpose or intent behind a different or behind a particular step. You can add that in the annotations, and it'll show up in your little Flow Designer here. So it's helpful for other people who are reading the flow to understand. It's basically the equivalent of comments in Flow Designer. So that's the main use for it. And the one thing that I'll add is, like, in terms of my experience with Flow Designer, I have done a couple of flows regarding Twilio integration, which was basically already set up. All I had to do was like change the message information in the Flow Designer. And then beyond that, the lab that I did is the extent of my experience with Flow Designer. So I'm like Flow Designer rookie. I have like a month of experience in Flow Designer.
But you use your annotations because you are not evil like MGOPW, who hates her future self. But yeah, so it's not like you're like the many years seasoned veteran Flow Designer. And if anything, like one thing I've seen with you is when you know like how to use the legacy tools, sometimes it'll be a little while before you catch on and go to using the newer, especially the low code tools. But I mean, this really does show just how easy it can be to pick up and start using, especially if you're like trying to put together the logic for things.
Yeah, I'm usually reluctant to adopt new stuff because like I
You're
get my routines, I get my habits, and I like them, and I don't want to change them. And so new stuff comes in, and a lot of times I end up ignoring it for the longest time. I mean, you've had to introduce me to a lot of different new features over the years. No, I don't do things the smart way.
That is a quote that will live in infamy.
So I'm usually like a tool usually has to offer a really significant improvement in my process for me to adopt it. Flow Designer did that.
Like how we both learned from Earl just the other day that on the like SP config what that portal page, because I originally learned a lot of my initial service portal stuff from you, and you didn't know it, so neither of us used that button that lets you like create a widget in a page in a container that easily. So.
Yeah, I still have. I don't think I was paying attention for that part, so I still don't know about it. I know of it.
Maybe we'll have to explore that a little bit. I always learn something on Earl's
oh
stream.
yeah,
all these little gaps in my coding knowledge is great.
Oh yeah, his stuff's great.
But I am really warm because it's like 90 degrees in here, and I'm going to tell you that you've done enough. We've completed a flow, and next time we'll probably.
Well, we haven't completed a flow because we still have to do.
Well, we completed the subflow.
Yeah.
So, like next time we can work more on in Flow Designer on this flow to continue building out the game logic.
Yeah, if we had not run into the hiccup, join game would already be done. Be great. But we'll have to continue that next time. But right. I will go ahead and commit these changes.
Commit. Are you committed?
The join game subflow.
I think that you should make your commit comment like every time, just like bug fixes or something like that.
I should make it what?
Just bug fixes, nothing else.
Bug fixes.
I've seen that as like a joke, maybe on Reddit or something.
All right, so that is now committed. So now it's safely stashed in a Git repository, and even if my PDI burns to the ground, I will still have it. And we will continue building out the Flow Designer stuff next time.
When my air conditioner is fixed. Oh, we learned some good things, and like I said, I think that what
it better be fixed.
It better be fixed by next week. Well, I'll be out of town here for most of this week, so that's on you.
Yeah.
But no, we did some good things. We got through Flow Designer, and we went over some of the basic concepts and put together a working flow and showed how to test it and things like that. But I'm, like I said before, I'm really glad that we ran into that issue with the execution steps, because that's an issue that people are running into. I'm sure that there's a solution for out there, thanks to Mark.
Now I have to look at something on my plugins, because we'll probably run into, let's see. Yeah, we'll end up running into the same thing on UI Builder. So I'll have to install the UI Builder upgrades when we get to the UI Builder stuff. But I'm going to leave those upgrades unapplied so that like we can intentionally run face first into that live.
There you go. Good times. All right. This has been fun, but I am dying. So thank y'all for joining us this evening. This has been a lot of fun.
All right. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and hope to see you next time. Thanks, guys.